Welcome to the world, because everybody is in the same exact space.
Yeah.
No one's mind is turning off,
Yeah.
and that's not the point. And I think that's why people say, I can't meditate or I can't do yoga because the fluctuations of the mind are too great and I can't relax. But actually it just takes practice, and that's why yoga is a practice. It's not about getting the posture right. It's just about calming your nervous system down, breathing, connecting, and those practices are so, so powerful.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jodi Richardson, and this is Hello Anxiety. In a world that often moves too fast, we're here to pause, breathe, and understand anxiety together. Each episode will explore practical strategies, share honest conversations, and uncover the science behind anxiety and well-being, all while creating a space where it's okay to not be okay. Let's continue this journey together. Have you ever looked at someone leading a beautiful wellness business and thought they must have it all together? They must be cool, calm, and collected and cruising through life. Well, it's easy for us to think that way. We often look online and we see beautiful photos, or we see relaxed bodies and minds after a beautiful yoga class or a lovely retreat. But we do know full well that what we might see or what we might envisage is a person's life we often don't know very much about until we have a really good conversation. And today is going to be one of those conversations, because today's guest knows what it is like to carry hidden anxiety, maybe not always hidden, self-doubt and pressure to hold it all together. Nova Rosaia is here in the studio with me today, and she is the founder of Warrior One Yoga. She has thriving studios in Brighton, in Mordialloc and in Mornington, here in Victoria in Australia, for my beautiful overseas listeners. And I am lucky enough to have been to one of her studios, the Mornington studio, just some weeks ago for the most beautiful session. I did a workshop with Kayla, and honestly, it was a beautiful time with a friend and just such a relaxing couple of hours. I learned a lot as well. So what I can tell you about the studios is that they're so welcoming and a beautiful community, because I'd never been before, and I was just felt like so at home. The Warrior One Yoga brand, it's just such a heart-led brand, and it is grounded in movement, in mindfulness and community, because that is really what lifts us up and elevates our well-being more than most other things. So Nova actually also leads international retreats, which I'm very interested in finding more about, because I've dreamed of going on one of those. Also corporate yoga events, and she just is such a gift when it comes to creating spaces where people feel really supported and safe, and really, part of the community that's welcoming them. She's experienced anxiety and burnout. She is no stranger to some of the challenges that, I've been through, and no doubt you have, or someone that you know and care about. And yoga's really become her anchor. And so we're here to have a really good conversation today about all of this and so much more. So Nova, it's such a pleasure to have you in the studio. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, honestly, it's a conversation I've really looked forward to, because I know yoga can be so transformative for people who struggle with overthinking and stress and anxiety and burnout. It is just, we talk about grounding the nervous system, and we can do that in moments. But yoga is such a gift in that it gives you, the classes give you those regular opportunities to really reset, recalibrate, look after yourself. How is it that you've, with your own experience of anxiety and your mental health, how did you come to be connected with yoga in such a way that you have actually founded 3 beautiful studios of your own?
Yeah, I've been practicing yoga for 17 years.
Wow.
Since I was in my 20s. And we started Warrior One 10 years ago.
Okay, yeah.
So there was a bit of a gap there. When I was practicing for myself, it was mainly, to be honest, for the physical practice. I think a lot of people are attracted to yoga for 2 reasons.
Yes.
First being the physicality. It's low impact. It feels good. It's stretching, but also there's a strength component.
Yes.
And then the other side, of course, is the mental component.
Yeah.
And it is so good for our nervous system. It is so good for anxiety or any stress in the body, really, mainly because it's breath-led led.
Yes.
And of course, the purpose of yoga is to calm the body. Once the body is calm, the mind then follows.
Yes.
And then obviously starting yoga studios, funnily enough, ironically, the stress came up.
I can only imagine.
Here
Yes.
I thought opening my first business would be quite relaxing, and it's yoga and it's
yoga.
chill and it's going to be great. But actually, probably in the first week of the first studio 10 years ago was probably the 1 week of my life which was the most stressful.
Yes. What were some of the things as a business owner that caught you by surprise?
I think the time and the energy required. I actually thought it would be a little more of a side hustle, kind of an easier thing, but actually it was a full-time investment. Your brain never switches off when you own your own business. When you're there, you're in it, you're present, but then when you're not there, you're thinking about it or planning.
Yeah.
So I guess it was just like a smack in the face of reality of how much work it was. And it was my first business. I loved it. It was phenomenal, but we had to grow it. We
Yes.
started from nothing. So
Yes. And there's a big outlay. When I was at your studio in Mornington recently, I was curious and looking around. I could see all the mats and all the bolsters and all of the blankets, and then there's the heating and there's the sound system and there's reception and not that I was going in kind of like looking at it as a business, but I noticed all of those things. And I, as a business owner myself, who doesn't have a lot of overheads because I guess we're both service-based businesses, but mine as a speaker is me and my brain and my, motor mouth. I was conscious of that. And so you've got this outlay in anyone listening because the idea of working for yourself is one that is so magnetic at times, isn't it? When you've worked in a business or you've worked for someone else, the idea of working for yourself is a lot of good things about it, but there are a lot of challenges that come with you've got to put not bread on the table so much, but you've got to make a business financially viable and build it and they will come. Doesn't necessarily work, does it?
100%. And I think that's it. Bricks and mortar businesses, huge outlay of the fit out itself,
Yes.
of course, rent, all the things that come with that and staffing it. But then, yes, the marketing,
Yes.
getting people to come. So anytime we open a yoga studio, we always do a free week just to really build community and flood the studio with new faces.
Yes.
But then it's, retaining those people and then continuing to market. So that's a full-time job in itself. 10 years on now, I'm very lucky because we have an amazing team.
Yes.
But when you're first starting out, you don't have the resources and you don't have the capital potentially. So there is a lot more outlay. You are wearing all the hats.
Yes.
I was literally everything. And that was probably what was the most anxiety inducing from going, well, I'm going to check in the clients and then I'm going to do some marketing. Then I'm going to send some emails. Then, need to fix this, do this. And you're running around like a crazy person and trying to run a yoga studio, which is the ironic part.
Isn't it? And no doubt you were probably not able to do the practice that you would normally participate in to ground yourself and to cope with all of the ups
Exactly.
and downs. So it's that sort of second layer of added kind of you haven't got the recalibration that you used to.
Yes.
And how did that, like, because I know that you ultimately experienced burnout. Did that stress, that elevated stress, just kind of continue beyond that opening week? Do you feel as though that, like, tell us more about kind of what contributed to your experience of burnout and what that was like for you?
Yeah, in 2015, that was the first studio that we opened in Brighton, which is no longer the OG. That studio was my heart, soul, blood, sweat and tears.
Yeah.
It was really everything. And I poured all my energy into it. And I think as a new business owner and a new founder, you don't know any different. You want it to succeed. You really nurture it. So I poured so much into it. And, it was up and down like any business. And probably around year 2, I really started to burn out. I really started to get quite exhausted and needed to go on retreats that, Gwingana or Aroha, where we currently run a retreat, to recharge, because I was just exhausted from working massive, 12 to 16-hour days every single day, 7 days a week.
Oh, gosh.
So that was hard. But then as we grew and we opened more studios, you learn so much, so many lessons. You're able to hire more staff, and I was able to delegate. Yeah. But I think for me, I was quite micromanaging of my staff initially. I loved the control. I loved to have all my hands in all the different pots, but that was just not sustainable long term.
Yeah, it's really not. And it's such a catch-22 because you know you can't do it all. You learn very quickly, oh my gosh, I've got, like you said, too many hats on. You're wearing all the hats, which is what you really have to do to get something off the ground. But then there's not the cash flow to be able to delegate, because delegating means paying someone else to do. And there's a lot of advice, anyone who owns their own business that's listening will know there's a lot of advice that you should buy back your time. And there's a book that I read called that, with that exact title, and that why do it yourself when you can pay somebody else who can do it better than you, more efficiently. But that's just not a choice in the beginning, and it's usually not a very smooth kind of transition from doing it all to having a team, and you're the one that has bore the brunt of that. And inevitably, I'm sure the retreats were amazing, but when you come back into that same set of challenges and stressors that you're facing, then I imagine that you're quickly back into feeling quite stressed and overwhelmed.
Yeah, it was quick fix, but not a fix. Yeah.
Not a fix in the long run. And so how did you cope when you are a leader and that you've got at least one studio open and you're looking to open more and you're really struggling with your mental health? Could you share with us a bit about what that was like and how you managed to cope in getting everything done, but also leading other people while you were really sort of needing probably a year-long retreat for yourself? How did you cope with that? Because it's really hard, because you do spend a bit of time masking, don't you?
Yeah, I think funnily enough, I started to realize that I needed to practice what I was preaching.
Yes.
And yoga, like you said, funnily enough, when you open a business or even if you start to become a yoga teacher, often the first thing to go is your own practice.
Yeah.
And that was definitely something that fell by the wayside for me. So I had to get back into that. But soon as I started getting back into that, it was a game changer. And even now, to be honest, there's weeks where, it's my own business. So, there's weeks that are more heavy than others in terms of what there is to do in the load. And the weeks that I'm not practicing, I can really notice the difference. And practice might look different week to week, but for me, it's a non-negotiable at least once, the very least. But that was, I guess, the hard part, that, you kind of on the surface, you look like everything's running smoothly, and underneath you're paddling really fast trying to get everything done. But I also realized that if I started to loosen the grip a little bit and started to delegate, while yes, it may have not been exactly how I would have liked it to be done or how I would have done it myself, it was good enough.
Yes.
Because my mental health and my physical health was more important than that.
And don't you, ultimately, that if you don't let go a little, that eventually you won't. There comes a time when our brain and our body will say, if you're not going to make this decision, I'll make it for you. And burnout is just, I've been there twice. And I only know in hindsight, I didn't realize I was in burnout either of the times that I was. And you don't see it coming, but you ultimately are at a point where you just can't function. And so it's interesting. That same book I mentioned, which I didn't plan on mentioning it once today, let alone twice, one of the things they said in Buy Back Your Time was, if you can find someone to do something for you at 80% of how you could do it, that's a win. That's hard when you've got high standards and you've been doing it all, to kind of like have that room for error. But over time, immediately it gives you relief, and over time you can guide people to sort of, perform 80 or 90 or higher.
Yes.
But also people make mistakes and the sun still comes up, and it's just a learning curve, isn't it?
It's so funny that you mentioned the 80% because I live by the 80-20 rule.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Okay,
I'm a huge believer in it. I talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
I used to think that I think growing up I was a perfectionist, and I had to really work on letting go of that and letting go of the control. So I say I'm a recovering perfectionist.
Yes.
And I love the 80-20 rule. And I say to my team all the time, like, is it 80%? It's good enough.
Yes.
We'll put it out there. It's not exactly perfect because perfection is actually, they say, the lowest standard because it's not achievable.
Yes.
And so I'm huge on that one.
I haven't heard that expression before, that perfection is the lowest standard. And it is very much something that those of us who are anxious will end up leaning towards because we want that control. We want everything to be just so. And we're used to feeling more at home in ourselves when we're putting out something that we feel couldn't be any better. Having written 2 books, I can tell you, I was told by my editor twice, different editors, both books, it'll never be perfect. There'll always be a space missing, maybe a spelling mistake or a typo, usually more of a typo. Don't worry, because, and you're right, it's just not achievable, but it's one of the avoidance strategies that we can often use before making a decision to put something out in the world, whether that's starting, feeling I've got to have everything sorted before I begin.
Yes.
Or then whether it's marketing materials or a new workshop or a new retreat. I wonder if you as a listener can relate to that. But yeah, having the team and having that approach, it's quite liberating, isn't it? Just to go, it's not like you're lowering standards. It's about an acceptance that you need to keep moving forward.
100%.
Isn't it? Yes.
100%. And even, another thing we do in our weekly meetings with the team is we do something called highlights, improvements, and F-ups. And ultimately, the concept is to highlight where you made a mistake and to highlight where you need to improve. Every single meeting we do that. And it's so beneficial for themselves and for the team, so we can all learn and grow together and not kind of get attached to perfection.
And also just normalizing it, that and if you in a safe space with a team to be able to say, you know what, I did not do this well, I didn't handle that well, I'll do it differently next time. Other people can learn from that, so it grows everybody's confidence, but also it just normalizes that we don't get it right all the time. We're never going to.
Exactly.
I know that a lot of the people that are listening right now know that yoga would be good for them, but feel a bit anxious about going into a yoga studio and maybe thinking I've got to have all the Lululemon gear, or I've got to look a certain way, or I can't, barely tie my shoes up, let alone trying to stretch. And what would you say to someone listening who is like, look, yes, you don't have to convince me it would be good for me, but I feel too anxious about making a start?
Yeah, it's very common. We hear this on the phone or in the inbox pretty much every day.
Really?
Yeah. And sometimes, it's simple things like, calling the studio, whether it's Warrior One or another studio, and just doing a walkthrough of the space before you actually go to your class. So, meeting one of the staff members there, or a manager or the owner, just to see the space, get to know it, feel comfortable. Yeah. I can promise you that not everyone's wearing Lululemon. Not everybody can touch their toes.
No.
There's a mix. We have people that come in. We take children as young as 10 in public classes because it's so great for kids.
Yes.
And we, have members as old as in their late 80s.
Wow.
Which I'm very inspired by.
Yes.
And everything in between. All walks of life, all different levels of practice, all different reasons why they've come to the mat. But the community is so beautiful, and there's something about, collectively moving and breathing together is so powerful. And, people do make friends at any gyms or yoga studios, and it's so lovely to see people connect in that way. And I think when you start going, my mum feels this way. She's broaching 70 and she comes with me sometimes, and she's always nervous that she's going to be the oldest or the most inflexible or whatever it is.
Yes.
But actually then you get in the room and you realize, there's heaps of like-minded people like me, or there's that person looks like me, or there's a lot of relatability.
Oh, it's so true. And we know too that when we go to a class, we really are focused on ourselves, we're not paying attention to what other people are doing, but we often think, other people are paying attention to us, but they don't care about us.
They're not.
They're not. And you can too, if you would feel more comfortable. If you arrive early enough, you can choose a position along the back if you feel more comfortable. But what you said about even just going and having a walk through, I think it's because it's the unknown, isn't it? And I'm such a believer in the anxiety is there because it's unknown, it's uncertain. If you can tick a few of those boxes and get a little bit more familiarity, have a look on the socials, just check out what people are saying about it, have a look at the pictures. That then can enable you to place yourself in that space. And don't wait for your anxiety to go to make the move to trial a class, because no doubt you would have trial classes for people, I imagine.
Yes.
Because the anxiety is there because it feels unfamiliar. The anxiety will only start to settle when it becomes more familiar. And the only way to achieve that is to take your anxiety with you and walk in the door, and you'll be greeted. And the thing about yoga is it's just a community of people who are genuinely so supportive. And yeah, so no, thank you, because I just really through this life, I want people to feel like it's something I want to do, that they can do it and not let anxiety stand in the way for them.
100%. I think starting anything new, whether it's a hobby, movement-wise, yoga, it's overwhelming because, like you said, it's the unknown. You don't know what to expect. And I think, we're constantly, from a business perspective, always trying to bridge that gap of how can we support our students or members with that challenge of feeling anxious. But I think once you start breathing and grounding and being in that studio and just
it's like a big exhale.
It's a huge exhale.
Yes, yeah. And so with the different styles of yoga, for someone who's highly anxious, what would be a good style of yoga for them to sort of test the waters for themselves?
Great question. I would say yin yoga.
Okay.
That's the style that is pretty chill.
Yes.
Most of the postures are on the ground using bolsters, blankets. Yes. Sometimes we laugh and we call it like a supervised nap class,
Sign me up.
Yeah. So there's no challenge necessarily in sense of strength or moving your body in a dynamic way.
Yes.
It's more of a sedentary practice where you're moving your body through very easy, slow postures for periods of time. So really allowing the body to settle. And yes, your mind won't stop going. Actually, in the studio the other day, and a woman came in with her daughter, and her daughter was only 15 years old, and she was a little bit anxious, and it was her first ever yoga class. And after class, I said to her, how did you go? It was a yin yoga class. And she said, I loved it, but I couldn't get my mind to stop.
Oh,
and I said, welcome to the world, because everybody is in the same exact space. No one's mind is turning off, and that's not the point. And I think that's why people say, I can't meditate or I can't do yoga because the fluctuations of the mind are too great and I can't relax. But actually it just takes practice, and that's why yoga is a practice. It's not about getting the posture right. It's just about calming your nervous system down, breathing, connecting. And those practices are so powerful.
They really are. I've got a handwritten note that I've blue tacked to the wall in my office, and it says, we only get better with practice, and everything is practice.
Everything is practice.
So freeing.
I love that.
It's so freeing because, and the thing about our mind is, I'm so glad you raised that, because I think that there is a lot of misunderstanding that what it is about is stress and anxiety create future focused thinking about, I haven't done this, I need to do that, got to talk to this person, what if this happens, catastrophic thinking and all of that. So if we kind of picture that we've got our mind sort of moving ahead, and that when you're in a yoga class, you're invited to bring your attention back to your breath, and you will do that, and it might sit there for a microsecond, and then it will wander again, and that is human and that is normal. And then we realize we've wandered, and back our attention comes to the breath as we're invited by our instructor, or we remember ourselves. But what happens is the practice of mindfulness is noticing we've drifted and it's part of the practice, and bringing our attention back. But it takes time for the attention to be able to stay more present focused for a little bit longer and over days and weeks and months and years of doing this regularly, you're more able to bring your attention, you're more able to unhook when we've drifted. Those wandering thoughts are a little bit easier to let go of, and then we can come back to the moment. And not doing a yoga class or not embracing some of these opportunities because you can't quieten your mind is really, it's a false economy. You're never going to get there only through the experience of it, can you?
100%. There's a saying in yoga, and it's yoga isn't about touching your toes. It's about the journey on the way down.
Ah, yes.
And it's so true, and it's true with the mind. It is about presence, like exactly what you said. It's just about staying focused and being in the room, being on your mat, your little island, we call it.
Yes.
And no one is thinking about anything but themselves.
Yes, that's it.
And just enjoying the practice of yoga.
And the more you do it, the more you're obviously we become a bit more flexible. We become a little bit more stable, a little bit stronger over time. That all increases, and connections in our brain over time strengthen to the point where we are able to enjoy that peace of being on that island in that moment and present, which is really when we are the most relaxed and the happiest. But it does take time. It's one of those things that you can only really appreciate through experience. What are some of the experiences that you've seen some of your clients celebrate through their yoga journeys? Is there anyone that stands out to you, without naming names or details, that has started a yoga journey and has stuck with it and really reaped the benefits from it?
I mean, so many pop into my mind because we have been operating for 10 years.
Yes.
So there's actually clients that have come thousands of classes.
Gosh. Yes.
And we actually have a little, email system that when they get to 500 or 750 or 1,000, they get notified.
Yes.
And they come in and celebrate that. And, we often celebrate it as a class to say, this person is doing their 1000th class today. How amazing. But I mean, look, every time I go into the studio, I generally get pulled aside by a member or a client that says how yoga has impacted their life in a positive way. Like, it's mind-blowing how many people the small Warrior One yoga in Melbourne has impacted. I mean, globally it's crazy, but the people I speak to, it's things like, they've overcome, massive emotional breakdowns in life, whether it's a divorce or something similar, whether it's death, whether it's cancer, like so much emotional stress that they have, that they can then practice, leave it on the mat and become, like you said, not only more flexible in their body, but flexible in their mind. I think that's where yoga is quite phenomenal, that it has this power to reach beyond the physicality. And you do just become a better version of yourself and more connected with what really matters to you. And, when I speak to members, that's probably what makes, I guess, my anxiety calm down and makes it all worth it, because I can see the impact that it's having. I can't imagine now not having a business that didn't make that kind of impact.
Oh, my goodness. And the people that come through the door, but also the people that spend time with those people, just the ripple effect.
The ripple effect.
The way that, we as parents, we co-regulate our children, or if you're in a classroom. And what we know about anxiety is that we really do need to use our body to ground ourselves, whether that's movement or through the senses or through the breath. They're the three kind of key things that make a difference for anxiety. So can you talk us through one of the poses that you might experience in a yoga class that is a beginner pose? If you're a beginner, you can start with one version of a pose, and then it becomes harder for you when you're ready to take on a new challenge. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, we kind of refer to it as yoga teachers, or the teachers in the studio, as elevator queuing.
Right.
So you just get off on the level that you're at.
I like that. Yes.
Yeah. So you might, if you're a beginner, you're at ground floor.
Yes.
And then, for somebody, you can now take the posture here, level 1, level 2, level 3, etc., and scale it up. I mean, I think from a dynamic point of view, if you're looking at like a vinyasa practice or a hatha practice or a slow flow where you're moving through series of postures, exactly what you said. It works on strength, flexibility, and balance.
Yes.
You're kind of ticking those three things physically and mentally.
Yes.
And then from a yin yoga point of view, that's what we talked about earlier about down regulating. It's more about the nervous system, less strength, more flexibility, mobility, very important.
Yes.
And also calming the nervous system.
Yes.
Highly important.
Yeah. And what I can tell you as a listener is that over time, I mean, there's a saying in neuroscience, what fires together wires together. So the more that you do something, the more those pathways become strengthened in the brain. And I've said this before to my children, that imagine that if you're starting fresh, it's like a big field of tall grass. And the first time you walk through it, you'll hardly leave a dent. You know, you'll battle your way through it. It'll feel a little bit uneasy. It'll feel a little bit sort of, there'll be a bit of resistance and it'll be a little bit harder. And then the more you walk that same path, eventually you've flattened that grass and it feels much easier. And it's those connections in the brain have been strengthened and those pathways are clear. And this is what the practice of yoga can do for us. And
it's such a beautiful analogy.
It's a good one, isn't it? And I think back to, I've had a lot of therapy over the years, and one of the things that I was taught was transcendental meditation, and that was to essentially, in a nutshell, breathe in and really paying attention to the breath, inhaling. But as I would breathe out, my therapist had given me a word, a single syllable word, which I won't share because it's like that's something that's personal. But what I would do was I would meditate twice a day for 20 minutes. And with every out breath, I would say this word quietly in my mind. And then my mind would wander and then I'd come back, you know. But then what I would find is when I was in a very stressful situation, all I would need was one in-breath, one inhalation, one long out-breath saying this word. And it was like, it's my cue. My body has been trained to calm and relax with this small, brief practice. And that's what you're doing in yoga. You are training your nervous system to be able to relax, to be able to let go of the stress, and also obviously the physical stress in the body. So it's so powerful.
Very powerful.
Yeah.
As you were just speaking, I've also done the transcendental training, and I have my own mantra too, which is a personal one.
Yes.
That's actually the point. You're not actually allowed to share it.
You're not meant to share it, yes.
And as you said it, mine just instantly, I hadn't done the practice for a while,
yes.
but it's so funny. You're right. It's a trigger, and it just instantly came back to me. And as you were speaking, I thought about it, inhaled, exhaled.
Yes.
And it's wild how effective those little tools are.
And the word trigger that we normally think about trigger is what's triggered my anxiety, what's triggered my stress. Maybe it's a person, maybe it's a place, maybe it's a, email inbox full of emails you don't want to deal with. But equally, we can have these, we can train ourselves with these triggers that can send our stress in the other direction.
Yes.
So I can't miss the opportunity to ask about your retreats, because when I left the studio with my friend Sal the day I'd done the meditation, and I saw the window on the way out, I'm like, oh, there's lots of places you can go. Tell us about the retreats. And look, it's obviously an investment in ourselves, and that idea of going, venturing away, maybe with people you don't know. So I think if we can sort of bring some more clarity around what to expect, who goes and where you go and what you do, that might be really nice for listeners and for me as well.
Yes. We've been running retreats since 2015, and because I knew previous to opening studios, I knew the power of retreats. They're so transformative.
Yeah.
A yoga class is transformative. A week of yoga, it's next level.
Yeah.
So we've been running them from the beginning. We run 3 a year. One in Thailand. We always go to this one beautiful location in Koh Samui. One in New Zealand, just out of Queenstown in Glenorchy. And the third one this year is India. But next year it might be different, so we'll see. And the retreats are all just spectacular. We really curate an experience that, the teacher who's leading it has a really curated, designed week where we take, students through different levels of practice and different kinds of practices. We also choose locations which are beautiful, which have amazing food and all that kind of thing.
Yes.
In terms of who comes, it's everybody from all walks of life.
Yeah.
A lot of solo people that just want an experience for themselves or meet like-minded people. We get couples, we get mother and daughter teams.
Oh.
We get a bit of everything on retreats, and because we've been doing them for so long, I've kind of seen the whole spectrum.
Yes.
And often what people say, it's interesting actually, a lot of mums come, and at the start of the week, we go around and you share your name and your intention for the week and just a little bit about who you are. And often people say, I'm anxious, it's my first time leaving my kids or my family, and I feel a bit like guilty,
Yes.
for taking this time. And at the end of the week, it's the opposite. They're like, I'm so grateful that I have found a week out of my busy life, and now I can go back and be a better wife or husband, be a better parent, just be a better person, and I've got more to give because I've filled my own cup.
Yes.
Right? It's the oxygen mask
It is.
thing, right? Put yours on first. So that's really common. But a week's a long time if you're maybe not into yoga that much yet, or, it's just a big investment of time and money.
Yes.
So we also do weekend retreats and one-day retreats, and equally powerful. Because sometimes that's all it takes, just one day or 2 days out of your life to reset, reconnect, practice, connect with others. And it's just, they're my favorite.
Oh my gosh. I'll have to look into it more. I do immediately feel that potential, like that guilt, that I think the guilt would come up, even though my kids are 17 and 15 and very self-sufficient, and I'm quite able to take the time out if I need. Their family would function brilliantly without me. But and it's just recognizing, I think, reflecting on what comes up and why, and does it have to be a barrier to you saying yes to yourself? Because honestly, Nova, I feel like we can go through life just working. There's always something to do. Like, we're really never short of something to do, and just it's so important that we do take time for ourselves. And as parents, what are we teaching our children if we never stop and we never look after ourselves?
So true.
I often think that. I often think, when I am taking, like if I go to the hot springs, I live down near the hot springs. I'm very lucky. I can sort of get down there, more often than some. And I just think when I'm doing these things, I am showing them that life is not just about go, go, go. And you don't always have to be doing for others. It's really, like you said, really important.
Yes.
And you can dip your toe in the water with a day, with a weekend. Sure, we're not going to Thailand for a weekend, sadly. And then, and just get a feel for what you need to put in place.
Yes.
And as the years go by and kids get older, responsibilities change.
Yes.
But it's about marking it in the calendar, isn't it? And protecting that space and that time for yourself.
Yeah.
Which I don't think we do enough of.
We don't. And it's a really good point. I mean, the guilt thing is huge. It pretty much comes up every single retreat, whether it's a week or a day. But the transformation of at the end of the period of time that we have together is just huge. And sometimes actually people, in Thailand, for example, they have their week and then their partner and kids meet them and they do extra time and they, tack on a little holiday or something like that, or bring them sometimes. We take kids from 10. So often, there is kids on retreat or teenagers on retreat, and it's very powerful for teenagers.
I bet it is. Okay, I have one more question before I want to ask you about your beautiful studios and how people can find you and connect with you. This is a very personal, selfish question. I don't do well rising really early in the morning. Like, I love my sleep, and I think of retreats and I think they're going to make me get up really early every morning for a yoga class. Is that true?
Some of ours do and some of ours don't. The India one, yes. The India one, you have to get up early. The New Zealand one, you have to get up early.
Yes.
But not Thailand, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thailand's a chill start at 7 o'clock.
Oh, I can probably manage that.
Yeah. I'm not an early practitioner either.
Okay, yes.
Like the people that get to the studio at 5:30 in the morning for a 6 a.m. practice, I don't know
Who are you people?
I don't know. It's not for me.
It's amazing. So I do CrossFit 3 times a week. That is I just like it's so hard, like anything, like it gets harder as you get better at it and get stronger and fitter. But I always joke with the 6 o'clock people that we will never be working out together. I will never see you. I will see you at a social function. Sometimes if they've got holidays or whatever's happening, they'll come to, because I drop the kids and go at 9 o'clock 3 mornings a week.
Love it.
If I've got work or interviews or presenting, then I obviously move that around. But that's, I know for me, we do have our is it our chronology, I think it's called, where we kind of are more night owls or more early morning. But also I just know with my own anxiety and my mental health that sleep is such a pillar, as it is for everyone really. It's a pillar I have to protect. And so, but I think when you're going away and you're on a retreat, you're eating better, you're probably going to bed earlier, and you just want to soak up every experience. That
yes,
it would
you don't
be
have to cook.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
The time that you save. It is different. You're right.
Yeah. And can you have a nap in the afternoon if you really
100%
like to?
you can nap. Yeah.
All right.
A lot of people use retreats as resets.
Yes.
And that is, it looks different for every person.
Yeah.
And I think that's something we are big on, not only in the studios, in classes, but also on retreat or any experience we really run.
Yes.
And the saying is, take what you need and leave what you don't.
Yes.
And ultimately, it is your experience and you take it as you need it.
Yes.
Nothing else matters. We say to people on retreat, if you're in class and halfway through you think, I want to go lie by the pool now. We're like, get up.
Yeah.
Walk out of the shower. Go lie by the pool. Like that's it's your vacation. It's your experience. You get to live it how you want it.
Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. Oh, I'll be getting on Google when I get home. So thank you, Nova. Honestly, it's been such a joy. Like I always get sore cheeks because I'm grinning. Thank you for joining me here in the studio today. And if somebody's listening going, right, I loved what I heard. I think this is something that would be really good for me. How can they find you online and connect with your socials and your studios?
Perfect. Yeah. So it's warrior1yoga.com.au. Super easy.
Easy.
And
ONE as the number.
ONE.
Yep.
Yes. Warrior One Yoga, all words. And same on socials at Warrior One Yoga.
Yes.
Come and check us out at Brighton, Morty or Mornington. All beautiful. The studio's all different.
Yes.
And such, like you said earlier, such beautiful communities, such beautiful people.
That is the thing, that every time I'm at a yoga class, which is infrequent, the kindness, just the kindness, the common kind of experience for everyone, and the compassion, and the invitation, the gentle nature of all of the yoga that I've done that I can recall and in my experience. I've just found that the teachers just seem gentle and kind and compassionate and just wanting what's best for us as individuals. And there's an invitation to do the next pose or as you do it, but do it, like you say, at the level that you're at. I love that elevator metaphor.
Yeah.
Get out. And I think it's a real relief for a lot of people listening. So thank you so much again for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing this time with me on Well, Hello Anxiety. Remember, understanding anxiety is the first step to managing it. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. Take things one moment at a time. Focus on what you can control and know that you are not alone on this journey. If you found value in today's episode, please share it with someone who might need to hear it too. I'm Dr. Jodi Richardson, and I'll meet you right back here next week.